Yo, welcome to episode 22 of the Bow and Aaron podcast. Today, I believe we are going to be returning back to our normal thumbnail. So, for the, as of right now, 17 people that got to experience the SBF ice cream thumbnail, count yourself lucky for that week. But no more will we have that specific thumbnail. That was once in a lifetime. It's minted on the chain, and if you steal it, we're gonna pursue legal action.
Yeah, we're gonna put you in prison in the Bahamas, like SPF is right now.
So was he that's one of our topics for today, by the way, but was he basically arrested because like US
Yeah,
whoever, okay, and they communicated to the Bahamas, law enforcement that they wanted this guy sacked and they sacked him?
yeah. He's in prison right now. Like apparently that prison is like scary. So yeah.
Damn. And so just a
And
recap.
and his girlfriend. Well, one of his polycule mates slash girlfriend, like Caroline Ellison, betrayed him. She like flew to New York and like totally like sold him out for everything. And she's like, I don't know what's going on with her, but she's not in prison in the Bahamas right now. So
Hmm. So just to recap, one, to make sure I understand sort of the situation, and two, to make sure that the audience is familiar with what's going on here. This guy basically ran a cryptocurrency exchange as well as a what he called, or what you called rather, a money mover,
market mover.
um, market mover, which was basically hedging against itself in these different transactions to, essentially make a money in some roundabout way. But where the trickery and tomfoolery comes in is that he had this market mover getting priority bids on his exchange and in some way or another maliciously inflating the amount of assets that he had or had the ability to spend. And somebody realized that from a big investing corporation and performed a bank pull, and they were not able to fulfill that request, and that's when everything broke, correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, at least to my understanding.
Sweet. So the updated news I saw is that, and I actually didn't see the interview, but apparently he more or less admitted to fraud on an interview with CoffeeZilla on YouTube.
I didn't hear that one, but he went on all these major news outlets and he didn't admit shit. But I guess if he did on that one, maybe I don't know who CoffeeZilla is, by the way. So
Yeah, I think he mainly dabbles in I mean, I guess a simple way to put it is like drama, but mainly kind of like higher profile
so he's
scams
like
and
Keemstar but different.
yeah, probably like a more tasteful and well-researched Keemstar, I would say.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, so yeah, but then I think Moist Critical made a follow-up video on that, and from again, this is not like me, but I needed some point to bring up just in case you knew about it. But I read the title and deduced that maybe he admitted something or another, and that was right before the news broke, or like the day before the news broke that he was arrested in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I don't think he ever said he like committed fraud, but I think he said he messed up. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't see the Moist Critical video yet, so honestly, like after the initial spurt, I didn't pay that much attention just because I don't know. Like I was starting to get pissed off by I was spending too much of my valuable high testosterone time like learning about a low T soy boy beta bronze 3 league player. So
True?
literally bronze 3, bro.
Oh, I
Which is
forgot we had that
so
conversation.
bad.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. Sheesh. Let's let's move on because that's bad. Bronze 3. I think I was defending him the last time, but the more actually no, yeah, I was defending him last time because there's like iron and stuff now, but still, that's pretty bad.
I mean,
I
is
I think
it,
it's funny too that his like main fallback excuse from the short little clips that I've seen on like circulating around Reddit and Twitter. Um, he's always like, and I get the helium voice now. I totally understand what you mean, but he's always saying like, "Oh man, I just don't know how we did this, man. It was so dumb and so stupid, and I just messed up so much, and I don't know how, and I'm dumb and I'm stupid, and it's like it just doesn't seem like he's arguing well.
Yeah, I literally have nothing to say. I like, there's so much wrong here that I don't even know where to begin to unpack. Like, we need to rewind all the way back to when this dude was like 6 years old or something, like to like fix his shit. So, but his girlfriend slash polycule mate, like, she's smart for like totally like fucking him over, in my opinion. So, because I mean,
Yeah, I
she didn't
mean,
want to
when
be in
the
prison in
U.S.
the Bahamas.
authorities are looking for your ass, there's not too many places to hide without having somebody complicit in your hiding helping you out. You know what I mean?
But yeah, and like she was, yeah, so she's probably gonna be good because she's like totally ratting on him, and he's like cooked forever. So I
Oh,
guess
you
the
think he's cooked forever, huh?
well, I mean, not for like, he's not gonna like spend life in prison, but I doubt he's getting out. We'll put it that way, or for a
I
while.
saw the only commentary that I've seen on the situation was just like one Reddit thread, and it seemed like the common consensus, and Reddit, depending on the community, is definitely like a cesspool of terrible opinions, but they were all kind of under the impression that he was going to get sort of a slap on the wrist, and that the prison sentence was, or not, but putting him in prison was more of a to appease the public eye than anything. And quite honestly, with the way that legacy media has had been covering this, I haven't kept up with it recently, but around the time that we were talking about it, it wasn't a very damning view. I mean,
Yeah, but he's getting eviscerated on Twitter. And you got to also remember he made all these like contributions to every single like legacy media in the millions of dollars. Like, there's some conflict of interest there, at least from my unprofessional
gotcha.
view. Like, he's given money to Tom Brady. He wanted to have Taylor Swift like have FTX on one of her like commercials or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's giving money to like all of the mainstream like people.
And he chose TSM, dude. Not even
Yeah,
Cloud9.
that's hilarious. Actually, that's actually. If I had that kind of money, you wouldn't hear a word from me ever again. I'd be disappearing, bro. I'd be gone. But the thing is about that, like, it's also power and influence. Those are also drugs that people can get addicted to. So, especially if you have like zero charisma, like him, and or like totally just yeah. Anyway, but should we continue this topic or oh no? Uh, Apologies, guys. My Discord appears to have shit the bed. So I'm gonna keep you guys entertained. Don't worry. Today's Thursday. It's been a good day so far. Or no, today's Wednesday actually. I didn't train yet today. I think I'm gonna stretch and probably just like drink a lot of water. I feel pretty beat up. But I think tomorrow 6 a.m. jujitsu, and that's gonna be pretty fun, as usual. I don't think I'm gonna go to the night class tomorrow because I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty beat up, so it's gonna be tough. And then apparently, belt promotions are on Saturday, so I don't think I'm gonna get a blue belt because I don't think I've trained enough in the past 6 months. But I hold on a second. I got to reset my router. Okay, guys, I'm back. The router has been reset. But yeah, like I said, belt promotions are on Tuesday, or excuse me, on Saturday. So, inshallah, I at least get a stripe, because that'd be cool. Although, and at the end of the day, it's just a piece of tape on my white belt. It doesn't actually make me any better. Um, honestly, like, I guess by that logic, like, getting a blue belt would also not make me better. But still, like, it's all about clout. It's not actually about, like, how good you are. It's about, like, how much clout you can have, so... kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Um, but yeah, I hope all my buddies get all their promotions and stuff that didn't get injured in the last 6 months like I did, so it'll be cool to see all of them experience a major glow up. And then there's a tournament next March that could be interesting, so I think I'm probably going to compete in that. I don't know what weight class I'm going to do yet because I'm a little fluffy at the moment, so if I wanted to actually like be a viable, air quotes, viable competitor, it'd probably be in my best interest to cut a little bit of weight, so I'll have to think carefully about that. I think, but that should be interesting. I feel like nobody's first tournament goes how it people think it will go. So
Finish it out real quick.
oh, okay.
It was pretty.
I've been monologuing this whole time about jujitsu, so no worries. But yeah, my
Oh,
router.
you're the one recording. No, damn. I thought I was recording and I was monologuing too. That's
Oh, that
hilarious.
sucks. That's the lost files. But yeah, no, I mean, if you were recording, we could like add that monologue to the. But yeah, I was just talking about like how belt promotions are on Saturday, and like there's a tournament in March that I'm not sure if I want to cut weight for or if I want to compete at a little bit fluffy. So
Yeah, I wouldn't bother cutting weight, honestly, or at least not like not any amount of weight that somebody in wrestling or MMA would consider a weight cut. I'd say if you just
I mean, I guess weight cut is like misspeaking. Like just lose the weight. Like
skip
I would just
dinner,
straight up lose weight because it's in March.
literally skip dinner and don't eat breakfast until you weigh in, and that'll be good enough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, what
Uh,
were we? Okay, back to the normally scheduled
so
programming.
Elon Musk booted that jet plane account off Twitter. What do we make of that?
Um,
Or really, what do you make of that? I've already made of it.
I mean, I saw that happen. I guess I didn't see the reason why it was suspended. Twitter.com/Elon Jet. Um, so yeah, until we don't know like the specific reason it was suspended, I can't really speak on it. But like, uh, hateful con, like I don't know. And these rules, as we've learned from the Twitter files recently, these rules are like can be pretty liberally interpreted. So,
I have not seen anything with the Twitter files.
well, we can go over that. I don't know. That's like a whole episode, though. We can go over that a different episode. But anyway, like some of these rules are like abuse and harassment, like hateful conduct. Like I could see how it could be like maybe he is experiencing like harassment in his airport or something. I don't know. Like I until I know the reason it was suspended, then
Hmm.
But I mean, the person's other accounts, like tracking other celebrities' jets, was also suspended. So, in which
I see.
you can still. It's not like that information isn't there. It's just not on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you can
and
still
that's
go out
I
and
think I
find
said
it.
that right after you left the call. It's like that information is all publicly available. It's just that he's essentially conglomerating it and dispensing it.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see what they say. Like now that I've learned like all the bullshit reasons why accounts were suspended, I don't care anymore. As in like, I mean I care, but there's literally no. The rules are like very soft. Like like I said, they can be like super liberally interpreted. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I can see how it could be a safety risk. Like somebody knowing where you are at all times. I wouldn't want somebody knowing where I am at all times. Uh, but what do you think about it?
On I mean on surface value or on surface level, it looks kind of sussy. Like I'm I, I'm all for free speech. I think everyone has the right to say what they want, and sometimes there's consequences to saying things. Um, in this case, if it did happen to be like a legitimate terms of service breach and he didn't like just get fed up essentially with this kid doing that, that's legitimate. But right now, it definitely sort of seems like a not like a knee-jerk reaction, but like a long time coming knee-jerk reaction, if that makes sense. Like sort of
Yeah,
like it just got to him eventually and was like, all right, fuck it, dude, we're finally pulling this trigger. Because like
yeah,
obviously he didn't like it, he made that known, but it was funny to me to see the tweet where after he acquired Twitter, he's like, I love free speech, and as you can see, I've even left this account up, and
yeah. Well,
da 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 da
I guess
da.
what kind of gets me, or not gets me, but like the other celebrity like tracking accounts was banned too. So
Yeah.
not just the one tracking him. So I guess that's fair. At least it's unfair, fair.
Yeah, and again, as we see with a lot of events, people tend to tell at least more heavily focus on one side of the story than the other, and a lot of times, maybe more extraneous details are honed in on to paint a certain narrative versus like the actual relevant facts. So,
Yeah. Also, people love to hate on Elon, like no matter what. So
yeah, dude, Dave Chappelle show, you got booed off stage.
yeah, I mean, in San Francisco, like that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty much expected from me. So, which is funny because he's probably done more for the climate than like any singular person on this earth, but he's booed by the climate change people. So, yeah,
He's done more for the climate than anybody on this earth. Is
I
that just
think
by
so.
virtue of making
Yeah,
electric
by
cars
Tesla.
available to
Yeah,
people?
I personally think that, but I don't know the numbers on that.
Doesn't it take quite a bit of like resources and carbon emissions and stuff to like dispose of one of those batteries?
I have no idea to be honest. So, I'm more just like, but so like as far as I'm not saying he's like made a significant change on that. I'm saying like he's done more than any one person has, probably
Yeah.
by dint of his own action, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, I think
because I
that's
haven't done shit, so and I'm fine with that because it's not my problem. It's the corporations and like factories and all those people's problem, and like the airline companies. It's not my problem. So
yeah. And the other side of climate change too is like, as much as people hate hearing it, it's first of all, the number like one and two contributors to carbon emissions are like India and China. So
and they ain't doing shit. So
yeah, like I don't think they're down with the Paris Climate Accords or any of that
or
shit.
the
So
Kyoto Protocol or whatever. I mean, there's literally like smog clouds in China. Like you got to go out with like a gas mask on, like on smog days. Like that's pretty bad, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of like that in California too. I'm pretty certain that their air quality is I mean, I don't know what the measurements are used, like parts per million of something, but I would assume they're at least in the same ballpark as China.
Yeah,
specifically
California
the
sounds awful to be
populace.
honest. So, I mean, I know it's pretty out there, but like everything else about it sounds awful.
Yeah, but it's like there's two sides to California too. Is like there's the like mountain hillbillies that are out in the Sierra Nevadas, and then there's like LA, San Francisco, etc.
Where you literally have an app that tells you where homeless people poop on the street. Like, tell me that's not
For
insane.
real?
At least in San Francisco, I know there was. I don't know if it's still being used, but it was at one point.
What the
Like,
fuck?
imagine that, bro. That's like dystopian future level of, and like,
Avoid Fifth and MLK. There's a shit pile there.
yeah. But I mean, that could be a whole. San Francisco could be a whole nother episode. Also, that place is terrible. And like people like leave their cars unlocked so people don't break into their car. I mean, they just like go through it and it's empty. Yeah, it's pretty
It's
wild.
crazy too, because when I feel like when big cities are done well, like there's a certain charm to like being in the city and you know having things sort of at your fingertips. But then I don't know what went too far or what happened, but um I mean Cincinnati certainly doesn't look like San Francisco. Not that there's any shortage of like crime and homeless, but
I never, yeah, but I never saw shit on the streets there in
yeah,
Cincinnati. So
I've never
not
well
even one
I've seen a
time. Not even
few
one
like
time.
I've seen a few congregations of homeless people. I don't know if you would call them like settlements
Not
or
like a tent city
anything
though.
anything near yeah like a tent city or Skid Row. Um, yeah, you just don't see that.
I mean, it's what happens when you do too many progressive, like new progressive policies at once, and you don't figure out like what works and what doesn't, and then you just have a shithole. So
Yeah, I feel like that's the same thing as like a doctor prescribing like six different medications in the same visit without like seeing, if the first one or two
right,
work first.
yeah, I think it's like
'Cause there was
obviously
this
like
patient that
go ahead.
actually came in again today, but she first presented like to us with fucking like 70 over 40 blood pressure in
Woo!
active AFib and like felt dizzy. So we sent her to the ER and the thought was like she had an appointment with like cardiology and they put her on like lisinopril, imlodipine, metoprolol, like all these blood pressure medications at the same time, and this patient had dementia. So the thought was that she probably took too many of these pills, and I think that's pretty much what we settled on was probably the cause of it. But like, dude, that's why would you ever do that? And it's the same thing in like anything that needs like a little bit of tweaking and testing. The scientific method is you test as little as possible first, and that's like you have like one trial arm essentially, or at least multiple trial arms where you just tweak one thing. And if you don't, well then your science is baloney. Like the
Yeah,
conclusion can be correct, and you might have arrived at the conclusion like correctly from the data that you collected. But if you're trialing two things, you have to get sort of like lucky for that to be the case of
right.
that.
Especially in complex systems like the human body or like cities or governments or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And here, complex systems here meaning something that has like hundreds or thousands of dimensions that are all intertwined, and you can't easily discern what's actually having an effect or not. So
Yep. Um, it's a fucking shame too, because like you said, California is just beautiful. Like one of the I feel like California, Colorado, Montana are some of the most beautiful places in the world, and we have them like within day or two drive, which is pretty kind of crazy to think about. Because like a lot of Europeans, come over. It's all right. Here's a prime example of like the the privilege that we have as Americans having like such diverse landscapes around us. I've so I went down to Red River Gorge recently for like a climbing trip, and I think we already talked about this on the climbing, car crashes, and staph infection episode. Um, but essentially, Patagonia was putting on an event down there, so there was like a little bit more, kind of like people than usual. But it is always weird to me to see the juxtaposition of like Kentucky locals, where they talk like this and maybe know someone that makes moonshine, and they've been living there their whole life, that sort of thing. And there's someone from Spain that's there on vacation, like sport climbing. There's like, hello, my name is Pedro.
I don't think
Yeah,
Pedro's like a Spain name
yeah.
though, is
I don't
it?
think Pedro's a
I feel
Spain name,
like
but
yeah, I got nothing actually, but I have no idea.
Marcelo.
Yeah, Marcelo, that sounds better.
Yeah, but you just like you meet these guys that took a whole ass plane flight to like come out there, and they spent at least a grand on the trip, all things considered. And it's like, when you start to think about it, it's like, yeah, that's if you're gonna come somewhere to climb, it's like the U.S. If you're gonna come somewhere to hike and go to like these crazy national parks, it's usually the United States. And yeah, we have deserts, rainforests. What's the fucking one that we live in called? Like, I'm thinking like contemporary, but that's art.
Temperate.
Temperate, yeah, temperate climate. Mountains. I mean, you name it. Tundras. We got we got
Did you say
shit near the
desert? You say
equator.
desert already?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But like, think about most countries in England. Like, they're smaller than a lot of our states. So like,
Right.
you're just not gonna have that diversity. And it's like, it's not to discount there's a lot of really cool climbing in like Spain and Norway, and there's the Swiss Alps and the Caucasus Mountains. If you go a little bit further east, you're in the Himalayas, and obviously that's like a world-class destination. But the U.S. pretty much has it all. And California, like I said, is one of the I'd put it up there as my favorite state in terms of like natural beauty, but I mean that's all subjective. And then you
Yeah.
got those crazy dense clusters of metropolitan activity interspersed in it.
And yeah, I mean, it would be awesome if the weather was like 70 degrees every day and 70 to 80 degrees sunny, like it rains like twice a year or something. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean in the mountains of California it's not like that. It gets snowy pretty quick.
Oh, I was thinking of just like stereotypical California, but yeah.
Yeah.
Where like you go on the Muscle Beach and you see all these roided up dudes. Like our next topic, the Liver
Yeah, but
King.
there you also have to be careful to not step on fucking heroin needles, dude.
Yeah.
And
Or
that's
like,
that's like not a thought that you should have in your head when you're walking on the beach.
yeah, I agree with that. Pick up your shit, heroin addicts, and
Yeah,
your needles.
speaking of muscled guys and needles,
Yeah, speaking of that, Liver
apparently
King.
PEDs are now a primal tenet. I think that's the 10th primal
Yeah,
tenet.
I think if you put the primal tenants in like a return on investment, one of them is like super disproportionate compared to the other ones. I don't know which one exactly, but
Yeah. So I guess we'll start here before we well, I guess we'll logically. So in case you guys didn't hear, Liver King, much to everybody's surprise, is an enhanced, I want to call him an athlete, but he doesn't really compete. What's
influencer.
influencer? He's an enhanced influencer, and he's been selling you bull testicles and fucking goat liver pills.
Look, man,
Which,
natty is a state of mind. Okay, like if he thinks he's natty, then he's like he's on
hey,
the spectrum of natural. Okay, like
I'm a vegan.
he's natural to an extent.
I'm a vegan to an extent. I've been a vegan since lunch, and I'll be a vegan till dinner.
Yeah, see, like you're on the vegan spectrum. So, but yeah, so apparently Liver King is like has this ridiculous physique, and there's some emails leaked out where he's emailing a guy like he's taking like $10,000 worth of human growth hormone a month and taking Deca and Winstrol and tests some kind of test extract every single month, and he's eating like 4,000 calories a day or working out twice a day, and
Yeah.
that's how he got big, not by sunning his balls and taking cold baths and stuff. So
So, first things first, and I just want to make this abundantly clear to everybody listening, is that more than two things can be true at any given time. So, just very simply put and extrapolate from this, um, Liver King can be on PEDs, and liver can be good for you. Okay, so now that the cat's out of the bag, let me kind of go into what I think about this and what this maybe means and as a bigger message. I think a lot of the stuff that he's preaching is are good habits. Cold exposure is great. Liver is one of the most bioavailable and nutritious foods on the planet. If you're a man, you kind of got to be careful with the iron levels that you can get to, just given that you don't menstruate every month. But liver is great. Bioavailable vitamin A. As a matter of fact, liver has so much vitamin A that polar bear liver is toxic in like
Huh.
almost any amount. You'll get vitamin A toxicity. Um, I'm not too invested in the Liver King lore, but some of the other stuff that he preaches is just carrying heavy shit and doing hard stuff, which is kind of like a David Goggins thing, and I agree with that, as well as a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the foods that he eats. Now, I don't know too much about bull testicles, but um, like grass-fed organic meats and liver is great, and I don't think that you need to take it as far as he did, and that's all you eat, but certainly to supplement certain nutrients that you might not be getting from muscle tissue as your regular meats. Now, second, I don't think it was of a huge surprise to anybody that knows what human physique can and like should look like at given levels of like training. I don't think it came as a surprise that he is on PEDs, but there is something to be said definitely about multiple times saying that you're natural and not taking any performance enhancing drugs, and then also on the opposite side of that coin selling people supplements that you claim to have certain benefits, right? Whether like performance benefits or like life benefits, etc. Because it doesn't really cost anything from a like an extra money perspective to go to your local grocer and buy liver, or to walk outside naked and sun your ball sack or whatever. But
Depending on where
when
you
you
are.
yeah, when you actually engineer something and you tell people that it's the solution to their problem, and it's like something that you stand by and it's important to you, and then it like comes out that it probably isn't, that's a little, leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, honestly, it's your fault if you believed like he was natural. Like it really is your fault. I think he was entertaining. I mean, he still is entertaining. Like as like a satire type deal. Um,
I see. I don't know if I agree with the "it's your fault" thing, because I can just imagine a case where there's like someone, let's say like sophomore in high school, right? Like someone that really hasn't, their body hasn't seen the full effects of puberty yet, and they're skinny little fucking 97 pound soaking wet individual, and they're looking up to, that's a point in your life where you're looking up to either your father or like other male role models or just role models in general, and then you find this guy who by all accounts is a really like kind of charismatic, jovial fella, and he's selling this secret sauce, and you ain't never been in a weight room in your life, sort of thing. You don't know what trained individuals can and should look like. And you're just, oh yeah, hey mom, this is it. And your mom hasn't fucking lifted weights or anything. Your dad's a fat piece of shit too. So they just hop on the train and get you these supplements or whatever. But I think especially an impressionable youth could have a very warped perception. Because look at like females nowadays, dude, that are trying to like
okay, that's a
emulate
whole that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing. Like
but
the
I'm
whole female
saying
thing
like
is way
people
different. That's way
people
different.
can get these insanely warped views of what a body should look like, and then they chase after that with things that like if you took 3 steps back and looked at it logically, you could deduce like, oh, this isn't gonna lead to this result, right? But you know, so like following the female examples, it's a lot easier to say like these people are doing these like squats and this like booty workout routine from an influencer who swears by it, who had a Brazilian butt lift, and it's like,
Right.
okay, you're gonna get stronger glutes, hammies, quads, the whole shebang, but your butt's not gonna end up looking like that because she had a surgery,
Yeah.
okay?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
this man takes PEDs. So like, yeah, maybe you can take some of his supplements or any kind of supplements, hit the gym like he does, and eat all this stuff and sun your ball sack, and you might get some results, and those results are likely to be beneficial because none of this stuff, bar weird things like hemochromatosis and iron buildup from like liver, none of this stuff is going to overtly harm you. So you're gonna get results, but they're just not gonna be the results, the warped results that you have in your head, right?
Right. I think I don't know. I guess maybe I'm too hard on people, but in 2022, like there's so much information out there that you should be able like go on more plates, more dates, or like Coach Greg or any of those dudes. I, I don't know. I really don't know how much money. I mean, clearly he was making money. So at the end of the day, he was lying to make money. So I don't know how much his brands were impacted by him coming out. Is not coming out. Him being exposed is like
Yeah,
influenced, but
it's involuntarily coming out of anything.
yeah,
No, that man was kicked out of the closet.
yeah. And then his apology video is like pretty cringe too. But it's always cringe when it's like I make so much money, but I'm gonna apologize anyway. Like shut up, bro. Like just I don't know. That's like
Yeah,
the exact
so
opposite of the Sam Bankman-Fried. Like this guy is like too high testosterone and like too confident. He used to be like,
another conversation that I had, and I just remembered it, it wasn't with you, so this shouldn't be redundant. I was talking to Colton about this same thing, and I posed the question, when so assume somebody's on PEDs, right? And they're just like, initially started them to like get big or whatever to, cheat and do it a little faster. When are you obligated to come out and say like, yo, I'm on PEDs? Because like take me for example. If I'm just like a dude at the gym trying to for myself like get better at climbing or what have you, um, there's no like I don't feel compelled at all to just like walk up to random people in the gym and be like, "Hey man, I'm taking testosterone." Like, there's obviously that person's not obligated to say anything to anybody, but Liver King on the other hand, I think most people could agree that he was in a position where he was probably should have, disclosed that information. So where's that line at in your eyes? Cuz like
um, I mean, it's kind of weird because there's still this like huge stigma against performance enhancing drugs, which I don't know if it's rightfully so. I feel like people, the average person, is just so uneducated about like training and like drugs and all that stuff that they just don't have the foggiest idea, and they're like, oh, steroids bad. Like, it's only bad if you're in a competition against somebody else that they where you both say you're not using steroids but you actually are. That's really the only time when it's bad, in my opinion, or if it has like deleterious outcomes to your health. But again,
yeah, I mean, I
it's
see
a free
people
country. Like if
prescribed.
you want to go and like blast trend and like get huge, like you should be able to do that. So I
I
don't
see
know.
people prescribe testosterone cypionate all the time, and like not transgender people. So like dudes.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're getting like a therapeutic dose or whatever, not like a crazy
Yeah, I mean
like
not a fucking Liver King dose, but like I'm saying either way, they're not going to be allowed to. They wouldn't be allowed to compete in MMA. Not that they'd want to. I mean, most of these
yeah, well,
people.
not in like a tested like yeah.
Yeah.
But I
So
mean,
I mean,
you're
so
not
obviously there's use
obligated.
cases.
Yeah, I mean, you're not obligated to disclose anything, right? So I don't know. I think the only reason you should be obligated is if you, like I said earlier, if you're competing in like some kind of test, or, like some kind of competition where you both claim to be natural. So
I see. I would say that a well, I mean, obligated is a strong word. I think like a public figure that gets some amount or the majority or whatever of their notoriety through their like how their body looks or what their performance is, regardless of if they're competing directly against somebody, if that's like them showcasing that on Instagram and that's how they get their money from, ad revenue or what have you, I think that person should like be held to the standard at least by the general public, which in this case kind of happened to Liver King, of disclosing whether or not they are truly natural. Now, there's a weird situation here that if somebody isn't natural, or somebody is natural rather, and people are making these accusations, so say me or you for example, if we just got like super big in the fitness industry for some reason, and people are looking up to us, and someone or a group of people starts claiming like, oh, that Aaron guy, he's no way he's natural, like he's not natural. I've seen what he can do in the jiu-jitsu mat, like that guy's not natural. You're under no obligation to go out and like pay money out of your own pocket to get lab results to then
Right.
disclose those lab results, which is protected medical information to like the public. But if you were on something, I think you are obligated to like say, I'm on this. I mean, no one's asking you to disclose your dose or anything, but I think a simple like, yes, I'm taking some amount of PEDs and they help me in my pursuits of strength would be like a good place to start.
But actually, you know what? I was just thinking, like, all of this has, like, sparked a thought in my brain. I know it's a first, but in Brazilian jiu-jitsu competition, it's untested. So all the top dudes are massive. Like, if you search Andre Galvao or Gordon Ryan, they're just, like, freaks. And, like, you know they're juiced to the gills, but even they don't say that they're using. It just... there must be like a really deep cultural stigma against it, and like, why would you come out and say it? Like, it has like it would only hurt you. I feel like it wouldn't help you because everybody that knows anything like knows, right? And the people that are too stupid to know like are gonna be the toxic ones anyway. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just the stigma is so strong that like you shouldn't even come out and say that unless you like have to, or if it somehow behooves you to like make money off being off admitting it, like more plates, more dates. Like he says he uses it. Here's what I use, and here's like educational content about like what's good and bad and what you should and shouldn't. You know what I mean? I think
Hmm.
people only would say it if there's like a distinct benefit from them saying it. Otherwise, there's no reason to say it.
Well, no good reason for them.
Yeah,
The
right, right,
reason
right.
is the pretty obvious here, but yeah, and it's a tricky situation too because it's always going to be a like an arms race, or I guess more accurately like a cat and mouse game. Like there's ways to try to avoid. I mean, shit, dude. Anyone that's seen Icarus can you know comment on this. There's a lot of ways and efforts made to avoid detection, and all of this is all these tests are predicated on like biology, like normal biology. If you have some like abnormal biology, or you know just cleverly use some unthought of aspect to mask the metabolites or somehow change them, like all of a sudden this test is just hugely inaccurate, and it none of these tests can ever say with any degree of certainty whether someone's like ever used PEDs in their entire life. It's just a short time frame and some reasonable amount of certainty based on previous science done with these like assays, right?
Yeah,
So where there's well, I guess in this case, it's more like where there's a way, there's a will. So if there's a way to evade detection, people are definitely gonna juice because they're both monetarily and like ego driven, incentivized for success and glory and notoriety. And this is you can train like a badass again. Like I don't think Liver King was lying about how much he trained.
yeah,
That'd be a weird thing to come to a coach and just immediately lie about, but regardless, you can train like a maniac and take PEDs. Those aren't mutually exclusive, and in most cases, the PEDs are just going to help you. So there's like this huge motivation to want to do it, and I can understand that, but it's this messy situation of like these guys definitely should be honest about what they're on, and realistically, I think the only way to like solve this, and this kind of paints people into a corner somewhat, at least natural athletes, is just have a fully untested, no bars held league of whatever. And if people want to use PEDs, they can use PEDs. If people want to get jacked up on like LSD and cocaine before the game, go for it. Do whatever you think's gonna help you. But at least in that arena, there would be no more complaints of like cheating due to biological preparation. You know what I mean?
but yeah, I mean, like if the thing with the untested thing is that all the winners are going to be using like for the like because that's
Exactly.
that's what
That's
I
why
was
I said
saying
it
about
paints some
jiu-jitsu
people into a
competition,
corner.
like it's untested, which means all the winners are not natural. Like I mean, I guess they could be, but it definitely doesn't look like it. Because I mean,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you're making
yeah,
money, if your livelihood is based off this, why wouldn't you do anything you could do to win, right? So
exactly. And all you have to, I think there's like a funny chart. If you go on Wikipedia, and you look up like the Tour de France finishes, at least one of the years there were like it was like the seventh place guy won because like the top six were all blood doping.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, like, stop even with the charade of like all that
And that's
bullshit.
something, dude. So the blood doping, like that's not a drug as far as I understand it. That's a process,
It's a perform. I
right?
mean, it's
It's
performance
not a drug
enhancing
unless you're making
therapy.
the argument that it
Performance
is a
enhancing
drug,
therapy.
and it is a biologic drug, and that biologic drug was like just coincidentally
I mean,
harvested from.
it's an exogenous agent like that.
No, it's endogenous. It's an exogenous. Nothing's exogenous technically. It's a human mediated process. But from my understanding, they literally take like whole blood out, centrifuge it down, take off like the plasma or whatever, and throw those motherfuckers back in, such that your plasma volume ends up lower, but the density of like basically red blood cells that are able to shuttle oxygen is way higher.
Okay, well, I guess I mean, I knew it was your own blood like going back in, but I guess I mean, yeah, I'll
So
call it
that's just a
performance
process, and
enhancing
that's
therapy or something.
yeah, but back to what I was saying about the cat and mouse game, it's like, okay, like, what happened there? Like obviously, like steroids or something weren't working for the cyclists, so they consulted some scientists and then he was like, "Oh, you could probably do this. Let's try it." They tried it on some animals first and they didn't die and they're like, "All right, yeah, let's fucking load her up, buddy." And then all of a sudden the USADA got, word of that and they're like, "Oh, this is just unacceptable."
I don't know if
You,
it's
you know what I
USADA
mean?
testing those guys, but yeah.
You know what I mean though,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It makes it more funny though. Yeah. Uh,
But
I don't know. Honestly, it's just like whatever makes you feel good. Like as a competitor, like just do whatever makes you feel good. That's the final rule, in my opinion. Whether that be like
but like
morally good or like physically good, it's up to you.
I mean, I feel like it's really easy to say that sitting in your chair right now, but like I cannot express to you how livid I would be if I lost like even just the fucking like wrestling state championship to somebody that like it later came out that they were
I mean,
on
aren't
PEDs or
wrestling
something.
state championships like untested too, though?
Well, in high school, I guess probably yeah, I never had to do like a drug test, but if there's like suspicion, they're probably gonna make you. Like, you're not allowed to take performance enhancing drugs. That's definitely a rule. There was one time at least where um I beat the fuck out of some kid and then their coach like got all angry and came up to, our coach and then, I asked him like later like what the fuck was that guy on about? And he was like, "Dude, he thought you were on steroids." And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting, but I never even had to do a drug test then." So I think it has to be some pretty like what's the word I'm looking for? Not like legitimate, but like pretty emotionally charged accusations from somebody that at least has like a little bit of power in the OSHA sphere, or at least knows the right people to talk to like get that testing to happen.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm just saying like I don't know. I don't know how
And for
prevalent
for
like
any out of state listeners, OSHA is Ohio High School Athletic Association, not
right,
like the work and safety.
but yeah, I mean, uh, there's no right answer. I don't think because I mean, given all the different scenarios that are still happening, there's definitely not a right answer. People will do whatever it takes to win, no matter what. If they think they can get away with it, they will do it. I think that's just like a universal rule.
It is definitely a universal rule. I mean, you see that in like on the highways with people speeding. I mean, there's the age old saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I mean, that's definitely derived from the idea that people, given a goal, they're gonna do anything they can within that goal and higher level goals to achieve it. And that by higher level goals, I more so mean like ethical code or kind of like these foundational principles that like always apply to every situation, sort of thing.
Right. Even
So
like in the art of war, the dude's like, yeah, never fight on an even footing with your opponent. Always know more than your opponent. Like, if you're fighting in a fair fight, you're
the
messing
coin
up
toss,
basically. So,
yeah.
which is true. I mean, like you always want to fight to your advantage. Like you would why like under some arbitrary pretense of honor or whatever would you give your opponent an advantage? At least in like a war, but
Yeah, and like I said, it depends. Like if your higher level foundational principles like that honor just permeates everything you do, I could see that as something that somebody might do. But I think if that were to be the case, to say like right now when you say like honor and you're talking about the art of war, I'm envisioning like a samurai that walks up to their opponent, engages them in one-on-one battle versus like taking a cheap shot or something. Like if that's the code that you're living by, I mean, damn well there's a good chance that you're gonna get your ass beat and
right,
die. So, you just got to be cool with that. And in like modern war you can't really do that because there's always going to be like some percentage of your citizenship that isn't even cool with the war to begin with, so you can't just like walk up in there with whatever kind of moral code that you have and risk your soldiers' lives because of that.
right.
Like,
So anyway, primals, that ends our Liver King segment.
I have a list.
What other? Do we want to talk about David Goggins too, or in his new book, or
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually read the new book,
did
and I
you read the
was
first book?
I did, yeah, I read the first book.
What did you think of it?
I really liked the first book. I thought it was I mean, I don't know if it's for everyone, especially just the way it's written. I could see like some Karens
Because it
not
has the F word
enjoying
in it.
it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it does have
And the
the F
B
word a few
word, and the
times.
N word, and the S word.
Yeah, it probably has all those too. But I think it's a good message, and I think everyone should, if they read it, try their hardest to like get something out of it because it's definitely like pretty powerful.
I mean, like for
Um,
me. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the one thing that I do remember though is that I ran. I think I probably told this story in the podcast before, but I ran a marathon one time, like the equivalent of a marathon, not competed in a marathon. So I was untested for anyone out there wondering. Um, may or may not have been natural,
A spectrum.
but
You were on the spectrum of natty, somewhere,
yeah, I was definitely on the natty spectrum, but also on the PED spectrum somewhere, probably
probably.
if it's a true spectrum. And I ran this marathon and like, once I got to the part that was actually like challenging and like mentally challenging too, I wasn't listening to anything the whole time, but I like threw on some David Goggins and I was like, I can get through this now. And I was just thinking back to his book and like all the crazy shit that he's done. So
Yeah, I mean, he literally like duct taped his like shins together in SEAL training, which is insane.
yeah, so it's definitely I think it's definitely powerful for people that are trying to do extreme stuff or realize the benefit of doing extreme stuff and like want to get into that, and whether it's like a tough workout or a situation in combat as like a SEAL where you literally think you're gonna die sort of thing, or you could die and you gotta still be able to operate, not only for yourself and the larger objective but like for your team. And he brings a lot of unique experiences to the table through his involvement in the military and in these like ultra marathons that are, I mean, name a sport that's like mentally tougher than that. You know what I mean? Like you're running for hours and you're like by the end of it you gotta just be like in crazy pain and some
Right.
state of malnutrition.
But I mean, it doesn't even have to be something extreme though. Just like losing 10 pounds or 20 pounds or something. I think like for me, what I'm getting out of his books is that like your mind is your strongest tool by far. Like your mind supersedes every other like tool at your capacity by like a factor of I don't want to say 10, but it's a very large factor. So
Hmm.
and then your mind is also your greatest enemy though too. So you have to learn how to like discipline your thoughts and kind of live intentionally, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, and that's like the coolest. Like once you have control of that, and I've kind of mentioned this when talking about my adventure on the Flatiron, where you're not tied in and any mistake could mean your death. like once you're cool, as morbid as it sounds, but like once you're cool with the chance of death and being able to just like grit your teeth and get through the hard stuff, but like also conquering both of those things and being able to like finally enjoy the experience and stuff is really liberating and powerful, and it's something that can be applied to any situation in life. Like, sucky day at work, all right, whatever. You're not gonna die or anything, but you can still shift the your mental perspective on it and get through it with more enjoyment and maybe
Right,
energy on the back end to go home and do a workout or uh, cook a healthy meal instead of like stopping at White Castle on the way home, sort of thing. Like,
right.
um, kind of avoiding some of the pitfalls of decision making fatigue. So yeah, I'll pick up his new book at some point. I did enjoy that first one, and I don't actually have a copy of it. I borrowed a friend's copy, and I took pictures of like all the after every chapter he had like a little excerpt and like a challenge or something. So I took pictures of all those, but read through the whole thing as well.
Yeah, so yeah, I like got the first book from the library, but I actually bought the second one. Basically, the second one is just like everything he's done since he read the first or since he wrote the first book, and like also like his running career is like coming to an end kind of because he's like 45, and like he literally ran until there was like nothing left in his knee, and his like lower leg was like dangling around. Like that's yeah, pretty insane.
That's hardcore.
Cause like he went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, I don't even know how you're walking, let alone running. Cause like he literally had every single knee injury possible that a human could have at once, and he was still running. But
Who's gonna carry the boat?
yeah, and um, basically, yeah, he kept running until, like I said, his leg was like dangling around, and then he's like, I physically can't even stand up, which yeah, but his mind is just so strong. So, but also there's been a lot of other good nuggets in this book. I need to like kind of think about what he's saying here. I haven't finished it yet. I have like 2 chapters left, so it's a good sequel because it like kind of brushes on what he talked about in the first book, but he instead of just telling his story, he like kind of goes into like his thought process a little more and like stuff he's learned here. So it's also like a pretty easy read. It's like pretty conversational. So
Yeah, what's it called? What's the title?
never finished.
Never
And it has
finished.
this badass picture of him in like an American flag bandana, like totally shredded AF, like running.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember seeing that cover.
But
Yeah.
no, he's totally right. Like your mind is so strong. Like, and it's crazy how like comfortable you want to be. Like think of like taking a cold shower. Like nobody wants to do that, but you can easily just take it if you just convince your mind to do. Like it's really weird, man. Your mind is
I
crazy
heard
cool.
if you take cold showers enough, you get bubble gut though, and you start eating bull testicles.
Yeah. But as long as you just don't like go out nude in the sun too much, I think you'll be good. I actually took a cold shower after my second jujitsu session yesterday. It felt really good. So
Cold showers are, and this might get me attacked in the comments. I know a lot of people comment on these videos. Cold showers are better in the winter time, in my opinion, because when you come out of the shower is already so cold that usually the house isn't colder, and you get a warming up sensation when you step out. So it's like pretty good feeling.
yeah, I usually since I don't have like a bathtub to take ice baths, I usually take cold showers after like really hard workouts. So, but speaking of jujitsu, uh, I actually no, I didn't talk about this in the little internet down interlude, but like I'm definitely getting better. Some dude in class the other day was like, "Dude, are you a blue belt? Like you're so good." I'm like, "Oh shucks, I'm not even that good." And I don't know, I'm getting better. Like I'm still getting smashed like 90% of the time, but not like 95% like I used to. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, you just gotta develop your style. You gotta find your inner cheese.
yeah, I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I'm getting. Like I think this year I probably like tripled my skill level roughly, so I'm pretty happy.
Nice.
I don't think I'm gonna get my blue belt this year. I think probably in like April of next year or sometime. So
When do you like get a new belt?
I mean, it's like from white to blue is like 2 years roughly. From blue to purple is like an additional 3 to 4 roughly, and then it's like 2 to 3 to brown, 2 to 3 to black. If you're training like 3 times a week, but I know it's really relative though because some people like sandbag their student. Like it's uh, roughly it'll take like around 10 years to get a black belt for an average person. So,
Gotcha.
but also that doesn't mean you're like suddenly a god tier jujitsu dude because there could be like a blue belt who's like a freakish athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
It's
there's
all
always gonna
relative.
be
It's all
that.
relative. So, but no, I've been training pretty hard. I've been going to class like training an average of 5 sessions a week and then 2 sessions of lifting. So I've been like trying to sleep a lot and eat a lot and stretch a lot. So, but I haven't been like getting injured or anything. So I found like my sweet spot of like training as much as I humanly can without falling apart. So,
And how many times are you going
so
a week?
usually Monday I go to the beginner class, then Tuesday I go to gi in the morning and no gi at night. Wednesday is an off day or lifting. Thursday is another double day. Friday is usually some kind of lifting or cardio, and then Saturday is class and open mat. Sunday is lifting or off. So like Sunday and or Wednesday are like my off days or light days, and then every other day I'm kind of pushing it a little bit. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty fucking hardcore.
but it's not hardcore enough. I know there's another level I can reach. I just gotta like slowly add on. You know what I mean? Because I mean, when I started out doing this, I was doing it like twice a week and lifting like twice a week. So now I've like essentially tripled that in like a year and a half. So I think I can add a little more even. I just gotta be smart, you know what I mean? So we'll
Yeah,
see.
just to avoid injury
Yeah.
is the biggest thing, because then you'll quickly go to 0 a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's better to be consistent than it is to go ham. That's why I'm slowly adding. So we'll see. We'll see. But
Well, cool. Um, Real quick, just so we can at least reference the end of this podcast and for ideas for next podcast. Um, there were two topics that you said could be a whole podcast themselves. One was um female influencers, and then the other was California, maybe?
Twitter
San
files.
Francisco?
Twitter
Twitter
files.
files.
I mean,
Okay.
San Francisco could be too, but I don't want to talk about that because that's boring. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think those are two
yeah,
solid.
the Twitter
And
files I'd have to prepare. I'd have to like take notes for that one.
yeah, I'd like another like teaching episode like that FTX thing where you kind of just laid it out.
Yeah,
So
I would need
that'd
to
be
like take some time and think about that. So which I can do. I just now that I know you want to talk about that, and then the the female influencers one is kind of like dating apps, female psychology, male psychology, Instagram, blah blah blah. It's like a
oh
whole
dude, we're
different.
gonna get called incels if we talk about psychology.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like fake though. Like it's by anecdotally observing this, you can tell that that's what's going on. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we had let me fact check this. I think we had a discussion about dating apps
No, because I said I never
before.
want to talk about it.
Oh, really? I see. I feel like we did. Yeah, maybe not.
But it's just so. Here's like my working model for this is like girls live in like Instagram world and guys live in like Discord world. So, yeah.
Dude, it gets really weird when girls start living with the guys in the Discord world.
But what? How often does that happen? Like never, almost.
Dude, that happens. Let me go on. Let me just do a little investigation. I'm gonna be I'll be truthful with it here.
Okay.
I'm gonna open up Twitter, and I'll tell you right when I open it up. I have a RuneScape Twitter, for the audience that may not be informed of this, where I basically am just following like RuneScape players and gaming stuff. So when I click on Twitter, I'll tell you, and I'm gonna scroll down until I find a e-girl posting that I can like identify that's definitely in the RuneScape community and talks in these like male dominant discords. Ready, go. And stop. Found one.
That was 12 seconds, I think.
Yeah. So I scrolled past a bunch of dudes or like meme pages that are agendered, but no, that so the point is there's quite a few like women in these scenes and they're sort of few and far between, but they typically well, actually, I don't know if they disproportionately rise to like popularity or notoriety, but every time that I've observed like a lone female or like two in like a gaming Discord, which is male dominant, it's been a weird kind of like dynamic. And we can talk about that maybe on the dating episode too, or
Yeah,
the
I mean that's another episode where I'd have to like. I mean, I know everything that I want to say, but I have to carefully prepare it so as not to be like a jackass, like saying it, because I don't know. But it's just like so. Go to like a fancy restaurant. Like when I went out for my birthday, like to this fancy restaurant, like it was all like girls like taking pictures of themselves and like taking pictures of their food in like huge groups, and then like at home like my all my guys that were or all my friends that are guys were just like chilling in Discord and like hanging out and playing games and stuff. It's something like there's just a weird dynamic now. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, girls live in Instagram world, dudes live in Discord world. That's uh my
yeah. I
thesis
don't
on
know though
this.
because and this is gonna be the last thing that I'm gonna say on the topic, just because like, like we just said, we're doing a whole episode on this, so we could literally, if we started this can of worms, go for another 2 hours, and I gotta hop off and get some dinner here in a little bit. But on RuneScape Twitter specifically, here's two in one screen, like back to back, people posting images of achievements in game, and it's like a lot of times they're pretty cool. I mean, this one's not that. I mean, he got 2 billion XP, which is like, play the game long enough, you'll get that much. So I'm not too impressed by that. But this dude got like a pet, and like, yeah, it's cool. I don't have that pet, but the point here is that I think loosely, kind of using this term, clout is defined differently by females and males. And when a female takes a picture of, their food or their nails or, the sunset behind them or something like that and puts it on Instagram, I think it's pretty similar to, a cold one here posting a picture of cow fight queen pet. It's just like, they're waiting for those
Yeah,
fucking
because
like
he's in
notifications.
Discord world and she's in Instagram world.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's a parallel.
Yeah, but they're distinctly separate though. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I gotta that one. That's gonna be like a hard episode to do, I think. But the Twitter file is one I can whip up like pretty quickly. So
Good. Yeah, because I think the complete opposite. I think that one will be an easy, and the Twitter files I know nothing about. So we should have a good fucking balanced episode next one.
yeah, well, yeah, we'll see, we'll see. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope
Yep.
we didn't ramble too much, other than my little monologue in the middle. So
Dude, realistically, this whole podcast started with our conversations in Discord world away from the females and our rambles, and you were like, "Yo, we could like definitely turn this into a podcast." So, I'm not sorry at all for the rambles. I might be sorry for Aaron's monologue once I hear it, but that's yet to be determined.
no, it was.
I'm sorry for my
I didn't
monologue that
realize what
didn't get
was
recorded.
happening. I didn't realize what was happening, so I had to like start thinking on the fly. And like the only thing I know how to talk about on the fly, other than Star Wars, which nobody can relate to, is jujitsu. So
Dude, that's so funny because the exact same thing went through my mind, except I heard the little beep boop sound, so I knew exactly what was happening. Is that you probably disconnected, but I struggled to find like a super smooth transition, so I finished my thought on like the Elon thing, and then I started telling this story about, and I'll give the TLDR real quick,
okay,
so we don't have to upload any lost files. Basically, I was at work today, and or not today. This was 2 days ago, I think. And there was this patient that I forget what her name was, but you know, for the sake of HIPAA, but just having a name with it, let's call her uh Gonzala Sanchez, right? Like super Hispanic name, and
Wow, that's
uh,
like borderline HIPAA, but okay. Actually, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna shut up. Okay, just keep
it's
talking.
fun. So super Hispanic name. Look at the patient's chart, and they need a Spanish interpreter, which I kind of assumed. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we have a iPad on a thing that wheels around in the clinic, and it has like different languages. Spanish is like the most common language, and I go and get this patient from the lobby, and I was like, hola, ¿cómo estás? I got him in the room, like speaking in Spanish, and then I pull the interpreter up, and like it starts loading. It's like finding you an interpreter. So I'm just like sitting there looking at her and waiting for the interpreter. I'm like, all right, this is taking a really long time. I'm just gonna start off. So I was like, que es tu cumpleaños? Stuff like that, getting name, date of birth confirmed. And luckily, she didn't have any specific concerns. So all I had to ask her was like, do you have any problemas or whatever? And she like said no. So I just put no specific concerns. But the rest of it is like pretty easy in Spanish, right? It's like, can I take your blood pressure? So like tengo tu arteriopresión, like it's probably really broken by her ears, but like I got the point across. So I do this whole visit in like broken Spanglish while the thing's still looking for an interpreter. And then I wheel the thing out and I'm like, I apologize to her. I was like, I'll try to get the interpreter up when you see the doctor, so that you guys can like talk about more complex things. And she was like, oh, okay, all right, all right. And I thought that meant like yes, like cool. And that's what she said initially when I asked her if she needed an interpreter. I was like, necesitas un interpreter de español, and she's like, yeah, yeah, all right, all right. Um, so anyway, I'm like sitting there trying to get the interpreter up. The doctor walks out with the other patient. I was like, oh, hey, doctor, I'm trying to get the interpreter up. It might be a second. I did the whole like rooming without being able to find one. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, no, it's okay. I've had this patient for years. We talk fine in English.
That sounds like something out of like an episode of Seinfeld or something. That's actually hilarious.
Dude, it was so fucking funny. I wasn't even the least bit embarrassed because I was glad to be able to like practice my Spanish as I know even less Russian than Spanish, especially like medical Russian, and I even try to say, like привет, как дела?
Yeah.
Um Работаю с doctor, whatever. But yeah, so that's my funny story to end the episode, and that was also the lost file monologue.
Yeah, that's way better than my jujitsu story, which is like me like awkwardly like trying to fill airspace while I was like trying to figure out what was going on. But yeah. So if you want to close this out,
Yeah. I'll close this out by saying it fills me with great joy and optimism that Aaron was on the same exact wavelength as I was when the call cut out. And with that, I think the audience should expect greatness, nothing but greatness, and synchronized wavelengths in the future episodes.
inshallah.
But inshallah. And until next time, folks, this has been the Bo and Aaron podcast, episode 22, I believe.
Yeah.
We have beat the statistics, signing out.
Yep. See ya.